You can? Okay, great. Thank you. So today is, this is part one of three. Today we're going to be talking about building out your environment, literally getting started, setting up your Azure account, setting up your storage accounts, spinning up Azure cluster, HD Insight clusters, and moving data in and out and running Pig and Hive jobs, etc. Part two is beyond the basics, so we'll talk more about analytics, more complex data transformations, talk about some visualizations, that sort of thing. So it will build on what we've done. We'll introduce some new exercises that are considerably more complex than what we're going to do today. And then part three, we'll talk about how to apply those analytics to business decisions. Primarily talking about questions you can ask your data, problems it can solve, and value it can bring to your enterprise. So today, again, we're working on Let's Get Started. I've got a few slides from previous presentation. I'm going to blaze through them really quickly because I really don't want to torture you with that. And
Mike, well, we do have a question. Will these slides be made available?
Yes, of course. So the slide deck I will post on my website, iheartbigdata.com. It will take me probably overnight to get that up. I will also have, I'll talk about this more at the end of the presentation, but I have a Visual Studio project that has all of my PowerShell scripts in it and links to where all the queries and such came from that I will also post out there. So everything that you see today you should be able to reproduce. So no, you don't need to take a whole lot of notes, and everything will be available, but it will take me overnight to get that up. So let's dive in. So big data real quick. What is it? Why now? Why isn't everyone investing? Based on the 3% out of the current 212, or a few less than that, that's only 6 people or something that it's actually their principal job. I personally am a little shocked at why the uptake of big data isn't more rapid than it is. But we'll talk about that very briefly. So what is it? Why now? Why isn't everybody investing? So what is it? Well, it's a little different animal than used to be. We've added all sorts of new and interesting types of data. Typically today it's described as a series of V's. You'll hear Gartner and everybody else talking, V this, V that. So here's our V's: volume, velocity, variety, and variability. So volume speaks to how much of it is, variety, how fast it's accumulating, velocity, how fast it's accumulating, variety. We have so many different types of data, all the way from the old log files to images and natural language files and such. It's variability. That's kind of a new one that has popped up here recently, but it speaks to the meaning of the data in the context that you're looking at it in. So it's one of the big reasons for the whole big data environment, and one of the real benefits is you load everything in and you keep everything. So today you may look at it and ask one question. Tomorrow you may have a whole different question to ask, and because you still have it all, you can get a solid answer without bias and prejudice. Other letters, I think there's two other things that don't get talked about nearly enough. One is advanced analytics. The other is certainly the value. So everybody's interested in big data, but until you can translate that data to something actionable and hopefully something that means something to a business, the value piece, it's really nothing but expensive, and I think that's a huge piece of why we don't see more investment in it than we have so far. So data sources now, traditional, there's a number of, talk briefly about where it's come from and how it's transitioning into from traditional to the new social data and such. So every business, most businesses have been collecting data for a very long time, as part of their ERP, CRM systems, etc., their financials. Surprisingly enough, I hear from solutions implementers that they use the words many businesses, most businesses actually, is a quote, are primitive, is also a quote, in their use of their data, which is truly shocking. It's kind of surprising when you see numbers. Gartner again publishing numbers. 60% of the world is invested in Hadoop of some sort, but yet you still hear that kind of talk from the people that are actually out in the weeds. Now, keep in mind, their clients are considerably smaller than the enormous businesses. They're the medium to small solutions implementers. Anyway, next, keep moving on. Machine sensor data. Machines have always created a lot of data, but we've never been able to connect them and collect it. So this area is enormous and is flooding us, and until we figure out what's important and what's not, we're going to hold on to everything. That's our propensity, has been ever since we started collecting data. So next, mobile device data. This is a really interesting area. We have now instrumented ourselves. The number of, you can see here, the number of mobile phones. This was as of last year. Almost 7 billion phones on the planet. We have entire populations or majorities of populations that have effectively put a chip in their neck and said, okay, we're going to voluntarily, maybe not knowingly, but we're going to voluntarily tell whoever is tracking this data what we're doing, where we go, how long we stay there, who we talk to. Tremendous amount of information is gleaned from that. And then we have, of course, the social media, Twitter, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. This is all pretty interesting from the standpoint of this is right now, very close to real time. We have never been able to do that on a broad scale, and certainly not across the entire planet, which is the next, tie that in with the historical credit and personal data that credit bureaus and such and banks have been hanging on to or collecting for years and years and years, and you have an unbelievably complete profile of huge portions of our populations, which is both interesting and a little frightening too.